Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tale, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, and shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now, let's get into today's tale. On the day I moved out, my mom smiled and said, "We spent your savings on your sister's dream wedding. She deserved it more." My dad nodded and said, "You're young, you'll recover." I chuckled, pulled out a letter, and watched their jaws drop as they realized what was about to happen. Growing up in a modest home in Columbus, Ohio, I always believed in the value of hard work and perseverance. My parents, Richard and Eleanor, instilled in me the importance of saving for the future. From the age of 14, I took on part-time jobs, mowing lawns, delivering newspapers, and later working at the local diner. Every penny I earned went into my savings account earmarked for college. My younger sister Lila was the apple of my parents' eyes. She was vivacious, charming, and had a knack for getting what she wanted. While I toiled away, she spent her time socializing and indulging in hobbies. Despite our differences, I loved her dearly and always wished the best for her. By the time I turned 18, I had saved $30, or zero. Combined with scholarships, I was set to attend Ohio State University. I was ecstatic, ready to embark on a new chapter of my life. On the day I was set to move into my dorm, I packed my belongings and headed downstairs. My parents were waiting in the living room, smiles plastered on their faces. "Before you go," my mom began, "we have something to tell you." I looked at them, puzzled. "We used your savings to fund Lila's wedding," she said. Her tone matter-of-fact. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Why she deserved it more. My dad chimed in, "You're young. You'll recover." I was speechless. Years of hard work gone in an instant. They had taken my future and handed it to someone else. I chuckled, masking the storm brewing inside me. "I see," I said, reaching into my backpack. I pulled out an envelope and handed it. "Tatham, what's this?" my mom asked. "A letter from my lawyer," I replied. "I'm suing you for misappropriation of funds." Their faces turned pale. "You can't be serious." My dad stammered. "I am," I said firmly. "You had no right to take my money." I turned and walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. The legal battle was arduous, but justice prevailed. The court ruled in my favor, ordering my parents to repay the $30,000 with interest. They were also required to cover my legal fees. The community was abuzz with the news. Neighbors, friends, and extended family were shocked by my parents' actions. Their reputation was tarnished, and they became social paras. Lila's wedding. Once, the talk of the town was overshadowed by the scandal. She reached out to me, apologizing for what had happened. While I appreciated her gesture, the damage was done. With the recovered funds, I enrolled. Ohio State University, I majored in finance, determined to help others manage their money wisely. I also started a blog sharing mystery to raise awareness about financial abuse within families. Over time, I built a successful career helping clients secure their financial futures. I also established a scholarship fund for students who, like me, faced financial hardships due to family betrayal. While the scars of the past remain, I found solace in turning my pain into purpose. My parents' actions taught me a valuable lesson: trust must be earned, not given. A year into college, I had started to finally feel okay again. I had a few good friends, decent grades, and a small internship at a local credit union. Life was moving slowly, but it was moving. That's when I got the call. It was my Aunt June. She lived a few hours away in Cincinnati and was always the only family member who treated me like it mattered. She sounded uneasy. "Listen, I didn't know if I should tell you this, but your parents have been telling people you stole that money from Lila. They're saying you hacked their account." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "They're telling people I stole my own savings. Yeah, they've even been calling it restitution. Like they were forced to pay it back, even though it was never yours." I didn't say anything for a while. I just stared at my laptop screen, the cursor blinking. I'd spent a year keeping my head down. I thought it was over. Apparently not. That night, I wrote a post. I laid everything out. The jobs, I worked the court case, the account statements, I blurred names, but left just enough detail for anyone who really knew us to connect the dots. I didn't want Pity I just wanted the lies to stop. The post blew up in our community's Facebook group. People who had taken my parents' side started asking questions. Old family friends messaged me privately to apologize. One even sent me screenshots of texts my mom had sent out, twisting the whole thing into some kind of sacrifice they made for a selfish son who ran off and sued them out of pure spite. It got worse before it got better. One rainy Sunday afternoon, Lila showed up at my campus apartment. No call, no text, just a knock at the door and her voice behind it. Please open, I just want to talk. I opened the door because I'm stupid. Like that, she looked different, not as polished. Her makeup was streaky from crying or Thorane or both. She didn't even sit down, just stood there arms crossed like she wasn't sure why she came either. You're ruining Mom and Dad's lives. She started. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Really, I'm ruining their lives. She took a breath. They're getting death threats. People are sending horrible messages. Dad's been suspended from work. They did this. They lied. She finally sat down, rubbing her face like she was trying to stay calm. They thought they were doing the right thing. I didn't ask them to take your money. Did you tell them to lie after the court ruling? Did you try to stop them? She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I asked her one question. Just one. If the rules were reversed, if I was the golden child and you worked your ass off 4 years, and they gave all your savings, would you forgive them? She looked at me, but I could see it. She didn't know what to say. Not really. I didn't come here for a fight. She said, I came here to ask you to take that post down. No. Even if they apologize. Not unless it's real. Not unless it's public. She stood up, face hard. Now you've changed. Yeah, I had to. A month later, things got weird again. I was contacted by a law firm in downtown Columbus. They said they saw my blog and were impressed. By the way I handled my situation, they wanted to offer me a paid summer internship. It felt too good to be true, but it wasn't. I took the job. Within a few weeks, I was helping clients dig through similar stories of financial abuse, usually from spouses or adult children. I didn't say much about my own story, but every case felt a little familiar. But then something happened that I didn't expect. I got assigned to assist on a fraud case. The client, a local bank, the target, a man named Richard, my dad. I froze when I saw the name, but the partner I worked under, a guy named Marcus, didn't notice at first. This guy's got a weird paper trail, he said. Multiple account errors. We think he was skimming internal accounts. I stayed quiet. That night, I sat in my car for an hour before going inside. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I thought about recusing myself. It felt wrong to stay on the case. But then again, he didn't hesitate to lie about me. He didn't think twice before robbing me of my future. And now someone else was catching him for something I didn't even know about. I decided to stay on the case. Working the case quietly was harder than I thought. Every document I reviewed had my dad's signature. Every spreadsheet I analyzed hinted at how deep the fraud really went. He wasn't just taking a little here and there. He had set up shelled transfers, tiny amounts over years that added up tonally. 80,000 missing from dormant internal accounts. He thought he was being clever. He used coworkers' login, have fudged timestamps, but digital footprints don't lie forever. Then one day Marcus dropped a bomb on me. They're bringing an outside counsel. Turns out, your dad's not acting alone. Someone else was helping him cover this up, possibly from another department, maybe even someone in IT. It didn't take me long to guess my mom had worked for a software firm that handled back-end services for financial clients. She left the job a few years ago, but not before she made a lot of friends. Apparently enemies. I went home that night and checked something I hadn't looked at in a long time. An old USB I kept for backup. I had used it to save bank statements during my lawsuit against them. Tucked in there was a random folder named Wedding 209. I never thought to open it. Inside were scanned documents, spreadsheets, old passwords, transaction logs I didn't recognize. They weren't mine. I stared at that folder for 2 hours. I finally realized what had happened. They had used my computer back when I lived at home, back when I was working, long hours, and they thought I wouldn't notice. They were logging into accounts in my machine thinking they'd never get caught. I copied everything and brought it to Marcus the next morning. I told him everything, every detail. He didn't say much, just nodded. "Looks like you are always 2 steps ahead," he said. Or they were 2 steps sloppy. Within a week, everything accelerated. Subpoena search warrants, HR reviews, internal audits. By the end of the month, both my dad and mom were officially under investigation. The news didn't just stay at the firm. It hit local news channels and line papers. People I hadn't spoken to in years started reaching out. Some said they were sorry. Some wanted gossip. Others blamed me. My cousin Tyler sent me a voice message. "You couldn't just let it go, huh? You really wanted to ruin your own parents?" I didn't reply. Leela messaged again, too. "This is spiraling out of control. You're going to destroy them." I replied, "This time they destroyed themselves. I'm just watching it play out." She didn't answer. After that, a month into the investigation, the bank found more. Turns out my dad had done this at his previous job, too. Only then it was covered up quietly. They let him resign with a confidentiality agreement to avoid a lawsuit, but once the current firm pressed legal charges, the past came back. As for my mom, she wasn't directly involved in stealing money, but she did provide confidential software access to my dad, which was against federal compliance. She was hit with a civil suit. Their house was seized as part of asset recovery. And through it all, I didn't feel anything. No happiness, no satisfaction, just silence. It didn't stop with the courts. Letters started arriving at my apartment. At first 1 or 2, then a dozen, then more people. From town, extended family, old family friends, some hateful, some supportive, but one letter was different. It was from Lila, handwritten. She wrote, "I didn't know how deep it went. I didn't know they were this far gone, but I also didn't stop them. I didn't. Speak up, I'm sorry. I'm moving out away from all of this. I'm cutting contact too. Maybe that's something we have in common now. I hope one day we can talk. Maybe not today, but someday." I folded the letter up and put it in a drawer. I wasn't ready to forgive her. Not yet. The trial began in late October. Cold winds cut through Columbus like razors. The courthouse was crowded every day. Reporters, curious local sex corkers. My Aunt June came and sat behind me in the gallery. She brought her knitting needles, but I noticed she never once touched the yarn. She just watched. My dad walked in wearing a cheap wit that didn't quite fit. My mom looked thinner than I remembered. Like stress had started, eating her from the inside. They didn't look at me. I didn't look at them. The prosecutors laid everything out. Piece by piece, documents, account transfers, log in my old USB. I was called to testify. When I walked up, I could feel eyes all over. I kept my voice steady. I told the truth. I didn't embellish. I didn't cry. But I made sure everyone in that room knew exactly who they were. 2 people who chose one child's luxury over the other's life. When I stepped down, my dad's lawyer whispered something to him. He didn't respond, just stared forward. 2 weeks later, the verdict came. Guilty. My dad was sentenced to 5 years in state prison plus restitution. My mom got off lighter 18 months probation and a massive fine for providing unauthorized access to private systems. They lost their house, their savings, everything. They moved in with my mom's cousin out in rural Indiana. When I heard that, I laughed. Not because I was happy, it was a cold, empty laugh. The kind you let out when something finally breaks. Lila stayed true to her word. She left town and cut off contact with them. She moved to Chicago. Started working in HR for a mid-sized firm. She sent me a card on my birthday just to hope you're doing well. No return address. Here's the part one didn't expect. After everything, I found out something that hit me hard. During the investigation, one of the attorneys brought up a set of transactions made when I was 17. Apparently, there were 3 withdrawals made in my name that weren't accounted for. I'd forgotten at a time I was 17 and frustrated. I'd taken $800 from the joint savings account to buy a used laptop without telling anyone. I never returned the money. I never even mentioned it during the lawsuit. Was it theft? Technically, did it make me like them? Not even close, but still it wasn't mine to take. Not fully, I told the lawyer. He said it wasn't relevant anymore. Let it go, he said. Compared to what they did, it's a drop in the bucket, but I couldn't let it go. 6 months after the trial ended, I wrote a letter. Not to my parents, Nato, the lawyers, to Lila. I told her everything, that I had taken money, that I hadn't been perfect, that I didn't regret seeking justice, but I regretted not seeing how broken we all were. Her reply came 3 weeks later. We're all broken. Yeah, but some of us tried to glue it back together. You didn't just try. You burned the whole table down. I loved them, but they made their choices. And so did you. I forgive you. But I don't think. I want you in my life right now. And that was it. I visited the old house one last time. It had been abandoned for months, boarded up and vandalized. I didn't go in. I just stood there. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I took the keys out of my pocket, the old house keys. I walked up to the mailbox. I opened it, and I lit the envelope on fire. Not out of rage, not out of drama, just because I needed to see it end. The flames curled the edges of the letter, turned it black, then to ash, my last piece of them gone.